Hey all, it's Niall from Alternative Review here, and today we're taking a look at the recently launched Stadia Killer, GeForce NOW. So what is GeForce NOW? It is very much like Google Stadia in that it is a game streaming service, so you stream your games from a remote system over your internet connection. But unlike with Google Stadia, you're using a games library that I'm sure already has hundreds of eligible titles. You're using mostly Steam or Battle.net. So how do you get a hold of GeForce NOW? It's quite simple. There are two options. There is a free option, which limits you to 1 hour of playtime at a time, and you also are in non-priority queuing access for machines, meaning you may end up with queue times, especially around this sort of time at launch, as the system, the software is quite popular to use right now. You do have the option, though, to join the Founders Service, and this is absolutely incredible value in my eyes. So not only do you get your first 90 days free, meaning you don't pay anything until May, the service itself is only £5 a month. As part of that, you also get priority access to machines, meaning that if you ever are in a queue, you are going to be one of the first ones through the door. And also you get extended play sessions, meaning you actually get up to 6 hours of playtime before you're booted out and have to re-queue. And again, with that priority access, the re-queuing shouldn't be an issue. Looking overall at the service, though, given that you have to use games that you already own, I think this is a good entry price for GeForce NOW. And the service itself, given that it was launch day yesterday, the 4th of February, it seems quite stable. So I give it a lot of credit for holding up. I was frequently checking the server page, and not once did I really see any major servers go down. I think one maybe went offline for, I'd say, 5 minutes max, but it wasn't the one I was using. So, you know, respect for the EU West servers staying live all day yesterday. I went in looking to mainly test one game and one game only, and that was Resident Evil 2, because I've done a video on this channel before, just a quick benchmark video showing how Resident Evil 2 runs on mostly high settings on my laptop. I'm running on an MSI GF63 8RD, which has a Core i7 Intel processor. It's got a 1050 Ti Max Q with 8 gigs of RAM and 8 gigs of then just general RAM as well. Unfortunately, Resident Evil 2 wasn't available as one of the games that can be used with GeForce NOW, which is a bit strange given how popular the title is and how recent the title is. But instead, I picked two games that I think long term I would be likely to use the service for. Kingdom Come Deliverance and Conan Exiles. The reason I picked these two is two main reasons. I think graphically they're intense enough to cause an issue for my laptop at the higher settings, and also the file size of both games means that I don't really want to have them installed locally, because Conan takes up about 80 gig of space, and Kingdom Come, I think it's about 50, 60. I don't want to have those kind of files stored locally all the time. I've only got a 256 gig SSD and a 2 terabyte hard drive. You know, I run all my video projects off my mechanical. I've got all my programs installed on my SSD for for ease of access and for performance. So I don't really want to then have to be dealing with massive game files of games that I probably won't be playing a huge amount of. It'll be very much an as and when I feel like playing them kind of thing. So looking at a service like GeForce NOW, which takes the games I already own like that and lets me just stream them, you know, again for up to 6 hours per session. I haven't sat down for a 6-hour gaming session in maybe even a decade now, but still, that's beyond the point. It's having that easy access, that instant access to games without having to rely on a download size or without having to keep the file on your computer taking up a lot of space. From there, I tried both games out. You know, the service is pretty simple. You download the GeForce app, you sign in with your Nvidia account, and you search for games that are currently eligible to play. Once you find one, you just run it. It opens, an instance of Steam in another window. You sign in. If you have things like two-step authentication active, it asks you to pass all of that. Then it just takes you to the game's store page. You click Play Now. It brings up the windows as if it's going to physically install the game, but it takes just a few seconds. It's basically just, making sure you own the game, checking that the game is installed, I'm guessing, on their servers, and then the game just opens and you're free to play. With Kingdom Come Deliverance, it was a horrible experience. It barely ran at 30 FPS on the highest settings. I changed some of the settings around and maybe got a stable-ish 30 at times, but there was a lot of pop and a lot of texture issues. Now, I'm not going to put this down to network because I am running off 300 meg internet connection, and I was hooked up via Ethernet for this test, so my ping wasn't exactly very high either. But then again, with so many people using the service, that could have been an issue. I'm not afraid to factor that in as well. But my laptop personally, whilst playing both games, I must admit, because you're streaming it, it's not very intense. My laptop didn't go, I checked the internal speed. I don't think it went above like 28-ish, 28-30. Whereas usually when I'm playing a game, as with most laptops, the cooling isn't quite there. So you normally end up running at about 50 to 55 degrees, which is not ideal for having it on your lap as well. So I was able to comfortably play both games without any performance issues on the laptop. I was also running like an instance of Vegas Pro and the new Microsoft Edge Chromium or whatever in the background as well. And that didn't seem to have any effect as well. But looking at straight up performance when it comes to Conan Exiles, it's good. There is this almost slight tint filter over the game that seems to just hamper the game from looking beautiful. I've played the game on PC and PS4 and Xbox One, and that filter's not been there anywhere else, so I'm guessing it has to be part of the Now service. Again, I don't think it's anything to do with connection. Maybe it's just that kind of thing that comes with not playing the game locally. If so, it could become quite annoying in a few games. But again, I'm on board with the way that Nvidia have launched GeForce Now, both through the beta phase and now in the full release. So they're going to get the benefit of the doubt with me either way, compared to Stadia, who have the high access price and have made seemingly nothing but mistakes ever since launch. But yeah, looking at performance, there was a few drop-offs when it came to Conan Exiles, but it definitely ran the better of the two. The onboard NVIDIA kind of GeForce Now control panel, which is slightly different from the one from GeForce Experience, has changed a little bit. And the video capture side of things isn't as solid. The Kingdom Come video was just unwatchable. It was jumping everywhere. It was lagging. Again, that might be, might have been affected by the performance of the game itself, but the performance of the game didn't look like the capture. The capture didn't look like what was happening in the game. It was just very jumpy and very laggy, whereas the game was kind of just jittery more than anything. So I'm not too sure what happened there. And again, even with this Conan video, it's not perfect. There's apparent frame drops that are happening in the video that weren't happening in the game. The only real lag that happened in the game was when we get to a little campsite where there's another enemy. I did experience that lag in game when I started to fight that enemy, but it wasn't anything too bad. The input lag is there is none as far as I'm aware. I was hitting spacebar, I was jumping straight away. I was moving the mouse, and it didn't feel like the character was trying to catch up with my movements. It felt one-to-one, I guess is the best way I can put it. Overall, if that's the experience going forward, then GeForce Now is going to be, a great platform to build on. But there will be some things that probably need to be looked at, mostly around that control panel for onboard capture and network issues as well. If they're going to say that my performance issues are purely down to network connection, then I probably need to inquire with my provider, because if I'm supposed to be getting 300 meg with low ping via Ethernet, and yet I can't handle streaming a game where the service recommends 50. There was no other streaming happening in my house at the time. At best, as I was playing this game, there was maybe 2 mobile phones, a tablet, a security system, and our heating system hooked up and using the internet. The TV wasn't on, anything like that. The PlayStation wasn't on. There was no other devices draining bandwidth. I really tried to give it the optimal test conditions to make sure that it had every chance to thrive in this little test. So we'll see what Nvidia come out and say going forward. I don't think there's any need for them to like answer questions right now. Just let people use the service, let people enjoy the service, and let's see where people take it. Just make more games available as time goes on. Again, I think a game like Resident Evil 2 missing so early on was a bit annoying. But then again, there are games from, like Battle.net. I think World of Warcraft and Overwatch are both playable. And there is just a huge library of games available already, considering it is day one. I'm not too sure how many of these games are available in the beta phase as well, and maybe it's just those games carrying over. And I don't know what makes a game compatible, whether they have to speak to the developer or anything like that. So I'm sure we'll see a library expansion as time goes on. But I guess all I can really say right now is that considering you get your first 3 months free, you'd be silly not to sign up for this. If you have a big Steam library and you have, limited hard drive space and a decent connection, again, I would recommend 50 mega or above for this. Don't even try if you're anything lower. Why not jump on this? Why not, give this game streaming option a try? Worst case, if you don't like it, you've got 3 months for it to improve, 3 months for Nvidia to make changes, and for it to become a fantastic service. But as things stand right now, I can see myself carrying on with this after my trial period, ends. That's pretty much all I have to say on this. I know it was a little bit rambly. I went unscripted to give it more of a natural kind of reaction feel to this, guys. But any questions, pop them in the comment section below. I'll try my best to answer everything. And like and subscribe for more videos like this. Thanks, guys. See you on the flip side.